We are streaming Chariot LARP beta character creation. This is the 5th character that I've worked on today, and it's awesome. It's great. This is Elizabeth. We're doing Liz's character today. What's up? And this is the last one I'm doing tonight. Oh my god, because now I get to write all of them afterwards. So for those of you who are new to Chariot LARP, we are a digital live-action role-playing game. You heard it right, my friend. We play all this stuff over Google Hangouts, and we are streaming it on Twitch, so you can spectate at the LARPing, which isn't normal for LARP, but that's cool. That's what we do. That's how we roll. This is kind of a new thing we're doing. And all of this is transparent. So I did like all of the game design, I streamed it, and now all the character creation I'm streaming, and that's kind of the deal. This is the process that you'll see, and you can learn more at geekinitiative.com. So this LARP, like the one where we met, actually, we met at New World Magiscola, it's very freeform. So even though it's digital, it's not narrated. It's like your character has a lot of agency. Hopefully the players do too. And the character, as well as the player, are accessing everybody else through computers. So, like, it's not really weird that we're using computers, because the characters are actually using computers too. And it takes place at the end of the century. The world has erupted into turmoil because, look at the world, right? And we have been selected to go on a ship that we will die on, super depressing, and we're going to die on it because it's a generational ship. So our grandkids and our great-grandkids will be the first generations to see Proxima B, which is where humanity will hopefully settle and not die. There are different ships. This is the beta ship. The alpha ship was our alpha testing crew, so every run exists in the same world. I don't want to run into continuity issues that you get with LARPs with multiple runs, so I'm just making every ship in a different world. And these characters are going to the character I'm playing and the character you're playing. Well, we're gonna have an interesting connection. I'll say that. Just knowing a little bit about what you wanted to play. So before I dive into the character roles and everything, tell me about what kind of character you want to play. And I'm just asking it kind of open-endedly because I know you've thought about it already.
So I know that I want to play some kind of scientist, and my initial idea was somebody who was kind of being brought into the program and kind of irresponsible outside of work, but inside of work they know what they're doing well enough that, well, we're not going to get rid of them just because they happen to go partying and they do like every drug on the planet, because when they're in and doing their work, they're doing a really great job and they have a lot of insights and ability that's really important to keep people moving forward.
Fantastic.
And that was one idea that I had, because it has, in my opinion, some great options for character development. But then I actually had this idea when I was looking over the document just now, and with artificial intelligence developer, and I had this thought of an artificial intelligence developer that was either, like, it was straight up actually an artificial intelligence that has decided to masquerade as human in order to get on this ship and get off Earth.
Ooh.
Or a developer who has cybernetic implants that have been hacked, so they're basically being driven by this AI that's trying to get off Earth.
That's pretty cool.
And so those were two ideas that I had, and I could do either one.
Yeah, one of the first questions I got, and we're building this world as we go, right? But one of the first questions I got, aside from are there aliens, which is maybe, but they're going to be an unlockable feature in the future. I'm thinking down the road when if I want to crowdfund stuff, like, that's an unlockable feature, man. Give me $1,000 and we'll have aliens. Aliens. Um, but also, the second question was, are there AI? Are there androids? That kind of thing. And I have decided that there are, but they're in a capacity that I want to unlock starting in the beta run. So this kind of leads into that. So, great idea. Hey, so great idea. So I'm gonna have to be a little specific with exactly how we kind of like discuss and develop that. And some of it we're gonna have to do in a private conversation, which I've been very transparent about character development, but I do want to drop a couple.
Have some reveals.
Yeah, there are going to be a couple of big reveals that affect all the runs, and one of those things is going to be concerning the presence of AI in this future world we've created. And your ideas kind of function perfectly in there. One thing I'm thinking, and this is just an idea, feel free to reject it, but what if your scientist person was... we're going with both ideas. What if they're a cybernetic implant kind of person, organic life form, born as a human, but they aspire to be AI?
Okay.
Or like so more AI than they are human.
Trying to like upload their consciousness.
Yeah.
And live forever. And that's actually funny. That wasn't the initial thought that I thought that you were going when you're like, we're going to combine the ideas. Because I thought that you were going to say, like, and the AI is now controlling a human body, and the way that a human body functions is really freaking weird. And when you go out and you do drugs, it's like messing with your programming, but then everything's fine afterwards.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, and I'm also thinking about hooking this into... you know, I did a few of the character interviews already, and Terry's character. So we have Danielle's going to be playing a medical doctor. Corey is going to be playing a systems security specialist. Like, I'm literally seeing how all these characters can directly relate to yours. Terry is playing a scientist who cured HIV, but has a lot of issues with his mother and the afterlife, and I asked him about his character's feelings about uploading her entire consciousness to another being. So I've got that going on. And then you probably already know about Jessica's character. She's going with this creative leader, outlandish actress type. Going on there. So I've got all these different characters, but I can just like see the connections forming. It's fantastic. And we've only just begun. So all of them have these issues. A big theme that's been coming up is like mortality and legacy. And they're all really into that. And for your character, I can see how they would be concerned with that, being more than human. What are their feelings, you think, on like that, on legacy, and like why are they into this? Is it because they could tolerate more drugs, if they're more robot-y? I'm making up words now.
I feel like the implants for the character would be less about drugs and partying. Like, there would be some things that were done for drugs and partying, absolutely. But starting off, it's a lot easier to tell yourself, like, yes, I'm going to get this done and these modifications done because it's going to enhance my work. And then once she gets more into it, she's going to start getting... She, like, started getting more things done that she's like, well, this is just going to enhance my all-around life. And why should I limit myself to the limitations of, like, the feeble human body when I can enhance it and make things better? Because that's what we're supposed to do. You make life better through science. And so if we're going the path of she wants to upload her consciousness and essentially live forever, then she'll be like, yeah, you know, I won't get sick. I'll be great, you know, improving life through science. And I'm a genius, so I'm helping out. I'm saving myself for the rest of the world's benefit too. So you're welcome, world.
Do you think this character is known, like famously, for their cybernetic alterations?
I would say that they wouldn't necessarily flaunt it.
Okay.
So they wouldn't try to become like some kind of sensation or celebrity from it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe known in other circles, though, in specific circles.
They'll be like, "Oh, you're that scientist with all of the implants."
Right. So, like, other scientists might know. One thing I do want to point out is that the engine, and this was canon established in Alpha Run, the engine is a work of bioengineering. And we never really explored that. We met the engineer at the very end, but we never explored this organic machine relationship or the nature of the engine itself. And even though your character isn't necessarily an engineer, it would be interesting to kind of have that parallel. Because, Chariot itself, I'd like for it to be its own character. And I like the idea of kind of reflecting that the ship itself is this combination of the machine and the humanity, and creativity is really important to the crew and the passengers. But I love that could be reflected also in your character and your character's flaws. I mean, obviously, like the drug use and everything like that. Like, what's the reason for the drug use? Are they trying to escape something, or what's going on there, or is it just for funsies?
I kind of imagine that it's just for funsies. Like, she works, and she's a good worker when she's at work.
Mm-hmm.
She might be late, but generally, like, everything is falling apart around her in this world. And, the betterment of life through science, guys.
Right.
I mean, science is destroying everything with how we've accelerated it and used it and weaponized it. But, hey... So sometimes, like, seeing it where it's nice to just take some drugs and be dumb for a while. I've been smart all day. I want to go be dumb.
So she's looking to just kind of relax after a stressful job. Now, concerning... Now, we haven't really established any, like, canon laws in the future about drug use, for example. But in terms of our provisional government on the ship... If recreational drugs were outlawed, would your character be into still doing them? Sneaking them on the ship?
She would struggle, and she might be like, I'm going to just have some, for an important occasion when it comes up, if I need it.
So
she'll probably end up needing it sooner than she thinks.
I love it. Okay.
And she's like, but then once I'm done with this, there's no more, and I'm done, and we're moving on to a brighter future through science.
I love it. That is fantastic. And tell me about this character's childhood, long before they were a robot citizen. Or maybe she had to end up being a robot citizen at a young age for whatever reason. What was life like before the implants, and what was her relationship with her parents?
I would say that she probably came from a position of a family that had lots of resources, so that she can afford to get all of these implants and modifications done. The initial one was likely done out of necessity, like something had to be amputated, something was injured, maybe like a stray bomb or something like that.
Cool, in some instance.
And the body modifications might have started from getting modifications done to that arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it was like the entry point into exploring life through this. And her parents definitely don't approve of her partying. They think that she's a little bit excessive, kind of like plastic surgery addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Only it's cybernetics.
I like that. That's kind of interesting that the cybernetics are almost like, they're not necessarily an extension of the addiction, but they're definitely related, so that the addictive behavior is part of her personality.
Mm-hmm. And kind of not a person who seeks conflict with other people, but because of how she avoids it, it inevitably comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to talk to my parents about these kinds of problems that I have because I don't want to deal with that conversation.
So she's an avoidance person.
Yeah. And so, in a way, going in and throwing herself into her work and being a really good scientist and programmer is avoiding the problems that arise from her partying.
Right.
And trying to distance herself away from the things that are coming up from her partying, while her partying is distancing herself from her problems that she has at work.
I love it. So,
she's always running from something.
What is her relationship with her parents now? So that distancing?
It is entirely possible that in the incident that took, like, her arm, one of her parents may have died.
All right.
If she was with one of her parents when that happened, because I'm picturing it occurring at kind of a young age.
Yeah.
And so that might be a stress point between her and her, let's say her mother. Let's say her mother's alive and her father died.
Okay. That's interesting. You're not the only character that has lost a parent, so that's going to be another point of connection with them.
Okay.
So what's your relationship with Mom like nowadays?
Mom definitely doesn't approve of excessive cybernetic work getting done, doesn't approve of the partying, doesn't understand why. It's like, you're really good at your work, you're really good at being a programmer, why can't you just focus more on that? Why do you have to go out and do this partying? And in fights, in arguments with her mother, she might kind of pull out the big guns in an argument and start accusing her mother of, like, blaming her for her father's death and everything like that. When that's not true. Like, nobody could have predicted the whole thing happening, but
yeah,
it's just a thing to say in an argument because it hurts the other person.
Wow, that's really intense.
So really intense arguments. The mother kind of in that parent space of, like, I'm not angry with you, I'm just disappointed, and I want to help you, but you don't want to be helped, and so I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do for you.
So in terms of how she got signed up for Chariot, was she like, screw Earth, I'm ready to leave, I'm applying, or how did that happen?
It would probably be one of those things that her and her mother would actually have agreed on. Mother, like, yeah, we're going to get you out of here, and it's going to separate you from these destructive behaviors that you have, and you're going to have work, and, you're not going to die on this planet with the rest of everybody.
Yeah.
You deserve better. And she's going to be like, yep, there's too much conflict here, and I'm not about it, and I'm out.
Awesome.
So, deuces. And it's possible that she might have applied, and her mother may have pulled some strings to try to make sure that she definitely made it through. Because somebody who has a drug addiction probably would have a hard time getting accepted.
Yes, I like that. Okay, so my next question is going to be about the whole AI component. Does this relate at all to immortality? Like, how does she feel about potentially living forever by being mostly cybernetic?
I I would say in all of that, there is one of her primary concerns, and it'd be kind of a fear, is if the way that the technology works out is that you upload a copy of yourself to the program, and that copy lives forever, and then you're still going to age and die.
Okay.
Like, functionally, that copy is you, but also you're still going to grow old and die. She wouldn't see that as being a true answer and not truly what it is that the technology should strive for. Like, there's a better option. We just have to figure out how. So, definitely trying to just avoid the big sleep. Because if there's a better option, then why shouldn't she pursue it? Why shouldn't she try to take it?
Right. It almost sounds like there's a bit of, like, perfectionism at play here, too. Awesome. Okay, and what about other relationships? Is your character leaving behind any close friends, any romances?
I would say that she has a lot of distant friends, lots of people that she would see, and it's like you walk into a party and you see like 50 people that you know, but you're not really intimate with a lot of them.
Right.
And then a very small, like 2 or 3 people that she is really intimate with.
Got it.
And it's unlikely that those individuals are people from work, but rather people that she would encounter outside of work who don't honestly care so much. Like, you would spend lots of time together, you talk a lot, but at the end of the day, like, something's wrong and you don't want them to pry, like, they're not going to lose sleep over you.
Got it. Got it. I think I have, like, even just from this brief convo, I have more than enough to go on. I have some ideas about what I'm going to change in canon history. I even think it's possible to tie in a bunch of different stuff to, like, one specific conflict in this world, which would make it really interesting for character connections. And the only other thing is, so your character's a scientist. Is she working for the government? Is she working for an organization? And is she shady?
Define shady. Like doing illegal work?
Illegal, underground, some shady freelance work, maybe, unregulated things, stuff like that.
If she did anything that was, like, shady and unregulated, she'd probably be like, plausible deniability. I don't want to know what you're doing with this. I was hired to make a program, so I made a program. Give me my money and we'll part ways and we'll never talk again.
But she doesn't, like, seek it out necessarily. She's not, like... So would you say her job is at, like, a company or a government job?
Is it fair to say whichever one is probably more lucrative for her?
Like, yes, that's fine.
She has habits that she needs to maintain.
Yeah.
Whoever has the most competitive job offer for her.
You got it. I have many ideas. I have a great idea for that. So I've got a company for you.
Oh boy. Where am I selling my soul to?
Let's just say it makes Foresight look tame. No, don't worry. I won't do anything too dastardly. She'll have a good job at a reputable company, and everything will be okay, because everything's fine except for the world blowing up. But that's why we're leaving. So
deuces.
Yep. So, do you have any other questions for me about this? Because I have, like, so much to go on and a lot of other character ties in mind here.
I'm trying to think if there's any, like, specific questions or anything like that I have. I'm not entirely certain if I do. You said there were 5 people in the group?
So far, you're number 5, but it is a full run. So we're going to have a total of 8.
Okay.
8 in the group.
A lot of people.
I'm sorry. Well, 10 including me, so it's a full run.
You're gonna be busy.
Yeah. But I'm getting half of the characters written tonight, and then I'm gonna do 2 more tomorrow, and then Sharon and I are getting together for something else next week, and we're just gonna like stream in person, which we'll probably also do during the run, which is awesome. I don't know if you know Sharon, but she's also played Magiscola. She was in run 5 and 1 with me, and she'll be at Yule as well. So yeah.
Oh, I'll meet her there.
You will meet her there, and she lives near me, so sometimes we hang out and stuff. And I'm like, let's just do the character creation in person. It'll be good.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I think because I know that from this conversation that you're definitely leaning towards her trying to upload her consciousness or create an AI to live and continue living.
Mm-hmm.
And I think between that idea and the other one, the different things and the ways that I would want to go between them.
Mm-hmm.
If I did that one, definitely pursuing lots of themes of like immortality, what it would mean to live forever,
mm-hmm.
What it means to die, and at what point are we still human? And then with the other idea, though, it would be instead of at what point are we still human, it would be at what point are we really human, and like, can an AI be considered a person because everything that it is and everything that it thinks and does is along the lines of, like, while it's an artificial intelligence, it was programmed to act and be that way.
I love that. Yeah, is AI a person?
And then...
And does that status change? So, like, if you start out as, like, just having, you know, cybernetics because your leg had to be amputated or something, and then you get addicted and when you become 51% AI, are you still a person? Mm-hmm. Do you still have the same voting rights? Can you be controlled differently? Of course you can. All that stuff definitely comes into play. So this is going to be a really interesting group because, like I said, we have an information security person, and they will probably cross plots with you in terms of whether your systems are secure. And then we have a CEO of the company that actually crowdfunded the ship. And he deals a lot with this immortality stuff. And I'm thinking, like, his company isn't shady. I was just seeing where you wanted to go with it. But I'm thinking your character could actually work for his company because it would be a really high-paying job. It's like where you could get the most money. But that you might get some vague questions and directives about, like, researching what it means to die, and is immortality possible, and can you transfer the human brain and, like, all these memories and stuff to a machine or to another person. And it'll create a lot of cool ties, and, you know, you'll basically be on the ship with your boss, with the CEO, who made all this happen. And I'm actually thinking some of the strings that might have been pulled might have had something to do with that, because his character's a little bit of a bleeding heart in some ways. He wants the best. He cured AIDS, right? So he wants the best for the world. Wants healthcare to be accessible for everyone. And I feel like he might have a little more sympathy even if he knows about the drug use issue. And, you know, especially if your mom tried to pull the strings or whatever, he would have been like, yeah, well, whatever, I crowdfunded this. Bam. She's on. So I see a lot of cool connections there. Now, do you have a name in mind, or do you want me to just give you initials?
I do not presently have a name in mind.
Okay. I'll give you initials. Don't feel bound to use the initials. It's totally fine. You can change them up. But I just give initials if people don't have names in mind. So yeah,
it makes it easier for you to organize the information as you're
pretty much. And I am crappy at coming up with names, but if someone's like, your last name starts with K, then, like, bam,
Yeah.
I come up with them. And what I do is I come up with, like, I'll be like, yo, let me look around my room. Oh, look, TH, I see a picture of Tom Hiddleston. Or, like, yo, BC, Friendly Chadwick. So
my father who died in the bombing was Friendly Chadwick. Okay, I come from a very prestigious family.
I'm going to work Friendly Chadwick into your backstory somehow.
I watched him die right before me, and it was very traumatic.
Friendly Chadwick lives on forever in every universe of every game.
So every reality is tied together by the Chadwicks.
Yes, that's true. I love it. Cool.
It's the ties that bind.
Yes.
But I think that if it was where, like, the programmer was kind of currently being driven by an AI that kind of got out of hand, that's like, I'm going to be a person now. I'm going to be a real boy.
Nice.
Kind of would make it so that if they remove the AI from the person, so then the original person then comes through, it's like, well, maybe she's not as nice a person as this AI was, but, like, how are you going to deal with that? And you've kind of made this decision, like, you'd make decisions of who deserves to continue existing in this context, and presenting those kinds of questions of, like, well, how do you decide that, like, you were born with this body and everything like that, but then you created this other person, and you're denying them the ability to have any kind of agency.
Yeah.
And does that person deserve agency because everything that they are was programmed? If you can create a program, you can delete a program.
And it's, like, about the intentions, too, of the programmer. That's another question. Not to, like, drag out your character creation forever, but it's so interesting. Does anybody else program her, and if so, who?
Program her, like, the AI or the,
yeah, just, like,
limbs.
Does she write all her own programming, or does she trust someone else to plug that in?
If it's anything that involves her actual body, I don't know, because she doesn't have those close ties that are really emotionally close with other people. I don't think that she would trust somebody else to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when she's at work, she doesn't cozy up with her coworkers, and she doesn't hang out with them outside of work or anything. And then
Right.
outside of work, she does drugs, and she's like, these people would stab me in the back if they thought that it would get them a huge stash of drugs, so why would I let them have access to my programming that I have? So she's probably very isolationist when it comes to her personal projects.
Got it. Cool. Well, I've got more than enough info, so I'm gonna go take a shower, and then I'm gonna start writing out all these characters, because I already have so many connections, and as we go and talk to the rest of the crew, we're gonna add more connections, but, there's some great stuff going on. I feel like the drug user part is where I'm gonna get the shady connections in, and, but I feel like her work life, like, there's such a night and day difference, so her work life, she's so responsible and upstanding, and has a great job, and her boss loves her, and then her, her, like, nightlife is, like, party crazy, probably have some shady connections there, so.
She lives her life like a Marina in the Diamonds.
Oh, this is gonna be good. This is great. So that's all I've got. Unless you have any other questions, that's it.
I'm good. I just can't wait to see the character.
I'm excited to write it. I mean, there's a lot to go on here, so this is gonna be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yup. All right.
I want to see everybody make bad decisions in this game.
I don't know. We've got some do-gooders here. We've got some people who really want to improve humanity, so you might really...
Here's the thing, though. Making do-gooders make bad decisions is the best.
That's true. That's true.
But
As we saw with Selena.
I love when players have really, really tough decisions. That's why I'm like, if they're put in this position where they have to decide who's going to have control of the body, if it's this AI or if it's the person who's had it since birth. Like, is there a right answer to that question?
I love it.
Is there a right thing to do?
This is going to be so good. Oh, right, and let's see, divisions. I'm going to scroll down this a second. So I'm going to put you in the scientist category, because you're dealing with, like, biology and technology, AI developers and scientists. So I'm going to put you in the science division. Now, you can, like, multi-class, basically, if you do want to have any other skills. Especially with the whole AI component, I feel like she'd be capable of picking up another skill. So if there's anything else you want to hop in on, it's not something I'm going to, like, write into the character, I don't think, but, like, if something comes up and you're, like, accessing that program, I mean, obviously don't be perfect at everything, but, it would be feasible for your character as a partial AI to have some advantage when it comes to, like, general knowledge. And one of the things I was talking about in an earlier session of character creation is, like, you're allowed to use Google while you're, like, doing this, right? So I'm looking at my computer, and I have my phone right here, and I might be Googling some information about astrophysics on my phone. That's totally fine. Use that stuff to do the thing. Hi, kitty cat, and pretend it's like you're just accessing your regular information in game. That's totally cool.
Just gonna do a Google search on my implant real quick, guys.
Yep. Let's
You got
see.
a question? I think I got answers.
Yes, let's see. So
she probably wouldn't be connected to an external database, though. She'd probably try to keep as much of it internal.
Oh, we just got a subscription with Twitch Prime for 2 months in a row from Lord of Elves. Thank you, my LARPing friend. Yay! That's excellent. Twitch Prime subscriptions are great. If you're watching this and you have Amazon Prime, and you are located in the United States, for the low cost of just a minute of your time, you can actually click that subscribe button up there and subscribe with Twitch Prime, and it costs you nothing additional to your Twitch Prime account or to your Amazon Prime account, and it gives this channel money so I can continue to develop cool LARPs like Chariot and hopefully not raise prices on them, because I'm doing like 12 hours of game time here for $50 a person. So, like, it's good money, but it's like a lot of time for what it is. And for some of these games, I also hire GMs. So help me pay them, please. And do what Lord of Elves just did and subscribe with Twitch Prime or with Amazon Prime. And we also have other subscription options. You can watch ads by clicking on the little pizza slice thingy down there, and you get bits, and bits translate into monies. So you can get bits for free just by watching these ads, and then you can click on the little pizza looking thing again and give me bits. So it's like another free way to collect money and give it to me to make these games. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I just love thanking people for subscribing. It makes me very happy. But yeah, that's I think a wrap for our character creation session. I'm excited. And I will see you on board when I'm playing a character who's kind of a jerk in Chariot Beta. Alright, well, you have a good night. Everybody watching on the stream, I hope you have a great night too. And I will see you all on Chariot.